vying for the Republican nomination with the hopes of becoming the state's next attorney general, the top law enforcement officer in the state. And joining us now to discuss is candidate for Arizona Attorney General and former Maricopa County Prosecutor Abe Hamadeh. Abe, great to have you here. You've got a bit of a crowded field there, 6 other GOP candidates. What do you think makes you stand out?
Thanks for having me on, Rita. You know, I think what makes me stand out is that I'm not desperate to be a politician. I'm desperately worried about our country. And, you know, I was the last candidate to announce this race back in November of 2021, and partly due to because I was serving in the U.S. Army overseas in Saudi Arabia. And, you know, when I jumped in the race, when I got back here, I no longer recognized our country, Rita. And I think so many Arizonans and so many Americans feel that way. I mean, every single day, it seems like we're being ambushed by something new. I mean, now we have Disney coming after us. So, you know, I think right now what's really exciting is that Americans and Arizonans really want some fresh blood and some bold fighters. And, you know, that's why I just got endorsed by Senator Rand Paul yesterday, you know, who's a titan of liberty. And he endorsed me because, you know, he knows I'm going to be that fighter here in Arizona who's going to be pushing back against the federal government. Because right now the federal government is overtaking every aspect of our lives. But, you know, it's even gone more than just the federal government. Now it's big tech, big business, and they can be as tyrannical as big government. So if there's one silver lining to the whole COVID, you know, hysteria that we witnessed over the past 2 years, it's that we finally realize that states have power and states have rights, and we're going to be pushing back against this overreach. And, you know, I always tell folks on the campaign trail, never forget the states are the ones that created the federal government. And under the right state leadership, the states will be the ones who save our country, Rita.
You know, I have just a question to ask you because you brought up that you were in Saudi. And I know U.S. Army Reserves, and thank you very much for your service too, Abe. What do you make of the fact of this president's energy policies and the fact that now he's like basically, you know, begging from dictators, whether it's Saudi or whether it's Venezuela? What are your thoughts having spent time over there?
So it's actually really interesting. So when Donald Trump was president, that was his first country he visited was Saudi Arabia, because he understood the important relationship, you know, geopolitically with Saudi Arabia. You know, clearly they have their flaws as well, but, you know, you negotiate with adversaries and allies. I mean, so I think we have to recognize how different Joe Biden has created the foreign policy, how much of a mess it's in. Now we have a war in Europe. I mean, you had Donald Trump making peace in the Middle East. I was there, the Abraham Accords, which were not named after me, unfortunately, Rita. But, you know, he made peace in the Middle East with Israel, United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, Sudan, South Sudan, Morocco. And so when you're seeing what Joe Biden has done, before he took office, he actually called Saudi Arabia a pariah state. And then when he actually took office, he delisted the Yemen Houthi rebels who were firing missiles at us while I was in Saudi Arabia. So he delisted them as terrorist organizations. So, you know, that's why Saudi Arabia is not very happy with Joe Biden. And now when we desperately need more oil and some, you know, energy, clearly the relationship is flawed. And I'm not even sure. I think he's trying to see if he's going to meet with them in his overseas visit later this month. But this highlights the fact that Donald Trump's energy policies, which was America first and having American energy to meet our needs, you know, has been totally dissipated by the radical left. And this is all part of their agenda to try to move into this Green New Deal, which is going to be an absolute failure.
And speaking of Trump's policies, obviously he was very big into border security. That's a huge issue, of course, for Arizona, where you are. How concerned are you about the border issue? Because that is just, I think it is catastrophic what's happening there when we see the numbers and the fact that they're trying to lift Title 42. Will you take a more stronger stance in terms of beefing up security and doing whatever at least the state can?
Absolutely. And, you know, that's the #1 issue that not only Arizona faces, but the rest of the country, because, you know, Arizona just happens to be on the front line of so many of the battles that we have. That the fact that we're a border state, but every single other state is also a border state, if you think about it. When you're having hundreds of thousands of illegal immigrants pouring across our border, and they're being shipped off to other states. They're not just staying in Arizona. But what I intend to do when I take office next year, Rita, is I'm going to designate the cartels as terrorist organizations. And what that would do is actually have enhanced sentencing guidelines on them that we can start prosecuting them more aggressively and also seize their assets. Under current state law, we use the U.S. Department of state definition of what a terrorist organization is. And as I mentioned previously, it's politicized. I mean, the fact that Joe Biden delisted the Yemen Houthis and that the Afghan Taliban was not listed as a terrorist organization until January 2021. So I think Arizona has the ability to know who the narco terrorists are, and that's exactly what the cartels are. So we're going to get a lot more aggressive. We're going to classify what's going down at the border as invasion and use State War Powers Act under Article 1, Section 10. So we're going to take a lot more of an aggressive approach when it comes to securing our border, because the federal government has totally neglected its job.
Bravo. That is so important. Well, Abe, I wish you so much luck. You mentioned you've gotten an endorsement from Rand Paul, also Rob O'Brien, Rich Grinnell. A lot of folks wish you so much luck in your race. Thank you so much. Great to have you here.
Thank you, Rita. Appreciate it.
Thank you. And everybody, we'll be right back.